Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Market Insights with Linux. A little bit of a late video today. Had some stuff to do, but still wanted to do a full market update here. Talking about the general stock market, right? There are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Some interesting things came out today, not when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia peace deal or peace talks. Not much came from that, but ultimately stocks have been incredibly bullish still. We're looking at the S&P 500 mini futures here. But if you take a look at the SPX here, which has just closed, I believe, then that's looking pretty good as well. So just wanted to do a full update on that. Wanted to talk about some opportunities as well, because I think that there's some nice buying opportunities. Right here, I wouldn't say is a good idea to buy. Personally, the last time I bought more stocks. Was right here, I think at like 5,300. Did I buy the bottom? No, but I did buy right here. So just wanted to talk about a couple of things here, also regarding the Federal Reserve, which today we had some interesting news regarding that. But first of all, if you're interested in more market updates, I really love to do these general market updates, right? So talking about all the news that has come out. And then what does that mean for the general stock market? But sometimes I also zoom into a specific stocks, right? So NVDA, Tesla, mostly tech and defense, to be fair, and gold. Gold has seen a nice bounce. I mean, the last video I made on gold, we actually did talk about this level here at 3,150. So if you watch that, you bought, great news. But consider subscribing if you're interested in that. For now, let's talk about stocks. So in general, talking about buy areas, my favorite buy area would be this area right here at 5,680. But let's say for simplicity, 5,700. If we get there, we have filled the gap we made over the course of the weekend. Obviously, last weekend we had quite a lot of news. And that caused the markets to open up higher. That's not necessarily bad. I mean, gaps like these tend to get filled eventually, but it can take quite a long time, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to drop down into that, but that is the main support level. So in terms of buying stocks, I would say right there. And if we get bad news, I would not buy there, but that is something you have to monitor for yourself as well. And then I would say wait for that level all the way at 5,200, right? So that's a pretty stark difference from my two buy areas for stocks right here. But news can cause a lot. All right. But there's two things I wanted to talk about. First of all, very briefly, bond yields. All right, because bond yields have been incredibly interesting over the last basically since the start of May. Today they've dropped down. That's great news. All right, that's good for the markets. Probably that also has something to do with the markets rallying right now. But ultimately, these have been quite strong since May. Even though the stock market has also been very strong. Well, these not always, but often are inversed, right? So one of the things I wanted to point you towards is that the bond yields are in a bit of an uptrend on the lower time frames. But we are nearing a major resistance level. And in my opinion, look, we're not going to do a full update right here on all the economic developments, etc. and monetary policy. In terms of the monetary policy and the expectations of that, not much has changed, even though we had quite a lot of economic data over the course of this week. But ultimately, I would say, given all the recent economic data and my thoughts on the monetary policy, a bearish reaction right here to that main resistance level at 4.8 cents. So we're looking at the 10-year yields right here. I think that would be a great indication, or at least a great level to start buying stocks again. Now, it would be amazing if that lines up with stocks hitting a major support level. That is definitely something I'd keep my eyes on. But that is something I think you need to keep your eyes on. And the last time we found resistance there, for example, that was the 10th of January. Stocks also rallied up quite a fair bit. It was right here, as you can see. They rallied to all-time highs then from support. So that is the first thing. And second of all, what I thought was quite interesting, especially today we had a speech by Jerome Powell, was this. All right, Powell said that the strategy around both jobs and inflation needs to be reconsidered. All right, so they're kicking off a 2-day framework review. And in my opinion, look, this could obviously go both ways in terms of how the market could react to this. But I think the way the Federal Reserve is reacting to the data that's coming in right now, I think that could actually be switched up a bit. All right, inflation has now been close to 2%, but not at 2% for quite some time, while they're not really cutting rates, right? So it's almost at their benchmark. They're not cutting rates. Look, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be saying what Trump did, but you could say that that's a strange monetary policy. But of course, you also don't want to cut rates too early and speed up the inflation process again. But this is going to be very interesting, right? So I would keep an eye on this. I will keep an eye on this as well and update you when it's necessary. But there's definitely chances here for some volatility in the price, and volatility is obviously where most of the opportunities come from in getting a better entry, better DCA entry, better trade entry for your stocks. But that's what I think you need to know for now. I'll be back with a new video hopefully tomorrow. But for now, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like I said, if you're interested in more market updates. For now, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all in my next videos. Bye.